So now you are saying, okay, it's great, now I know the exam. What happened with the exam? Well, usually the exam is based on these standards, which is we call them the International Professional Practice Framework. And these are the, this framework was like created by the IIA, and this framework will help you really in knowing how to conduct your internal audit job. What you should do, what performance are we expecting from you. And if we go over them, we have two sections. The first section we call it mandatory guidance. The meaning of mandatory guidance, if you are doing internal audit, you should follow this guidance. And we have three sections in it. We have definition, some definitions related to what is internal audit. So if you are speaking with someone, you need to know the definitions. What is, for example, the internal control? What do we mean by, like, for example, add value? So in that way, it will define all the terminologies related to internal audit, so that way we have common understanding. Step two, it's the international standards. With the international standards, I'm here trying to understand what are the standards that I should follow when I'm conducting the internal audit, correctly? So in that way, I need to know, should I do it this way or that way? What is the appropriate way if I have a situation? So the standards will show you everything that you need to do when you are doing the internal audit. And after that, you have the code of ethics, which will outline what ethics what ethical behavior are we expecting from you if you are conducting internal audit. Are you independent? Are you objective? So in that way, all these like behaviors you should, or these ethical behaviors you should follow when you are doing the internal audit, and in that way you are complying with the code of ethics for the IIA. Like I said, these three sections, they are mandatory. Now we have something called strongly recommended. Okay, you'll be like, okay, this is mandatory. What about strongly recommended? Well, here we have three areas, and what they are trying to say here, well, usually when you are doing the internal audit, you are not doing the same thing, right? Some of you are working in construction, some of you are working in banks, so that way you have different situations. So here, some guidance for you to know how to handle these situations. The first thing is related to position papers, which is will go and outline some issues related to different areas. So that way it will go to show you some research here or there, and that way it will just give you best practices. After that we have practice advisories. Practice advisories, they just advise you, see, so they are advisory, so they just advise, they say, if you are doing this, we recommend you that you go and do this. If you are trying to do this, we recommend you that you go and do this. So they just give you an advice and assist you which one you should follow. See, they don't go into details and tell you what you should do, but they just advise you what you should do. Now, if you want to know what you should do, you go to practice guides. With the practice guides, they will go in details and say, if you are auditing a small business, you need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you are auditing an IT department, this is what you should follow. If you are working in the construction, see, in that way it will go in details about what you should do in each certain area. And like we said, the IIA is saying, we recommend you that you follow these standards, but it's not mandatory for you to follow. So this is the framework that the IIA had. Now what happened? Before we go with the new standards, let's go take a look at the IIA standards and overview. We have two things. We have something called attribute standards and performance standards. So attribute standards is related to what? See, attribute and performance. Attribute is related to you as an internal auditor. Do you have the attributes to do the internal audit? And at the same time related to the organization. For the organization, do they have all the attributes for them to have good internal audit? So here we look at purpose, authority and responsibility, we look at independence and objectivity, we look at proficiency, do professional care, quality, assurance and improvement program. We are assessing if the internal auditor got all these attributes for him to perform the audit. Number two, we are saying, okay, in the organization, do they have everything? Do they have the charter? Do they have an internal audit department dependent from the management, so that way they'll be able to perform their job? So this is number one. Number two, it's related to performance standards. So with the performance, we are trying to say, if you are conducting your internal audit, what level of performance are we expecting from you, and what you should follow, in that way you'll be able to meet this performance. So here we are looking at managing the internal audit, the nature of work, engagement planning. See, it will explain to you how to plan the engagement, how to perform on the engagement, how to communicate the results after, and after that monitoring the progress. So that way you make sure that they are really correcting all the mistakes, and after that you understand all the risks related to the organization. So if you are in the internal audit field, you need always to follow these standards. See, it's not that difficult. It's about like maybe 20 pages. You read them, you understand them, and these are the standards that you need to follow every day when you are doing any job. If you have a situation and you are not sure what should I do in this situation, you go to the standard related, for example, to planning the engagement. Okay, the standard is saying 1, 2, 3, so you follow the standards. So this is the first. Now what happened when they changed the standards? And in in January 2011, they said, okay, these standards, they are old, we need to change them. Why? Do you remember what happened in 2002? Sarbanes-Oxley and everything happened, and everyone was focusing on what? On financial control. Okay, now we need to control everything related to our financial operation. We need to have financial controls over the internal audit. So what happened? After that, they said, okay, now, after we have all the financial control that we want to make sure that our financial statements are working fine, we need to go back and look at the standards and see everything related to operation, everything related to compliance. Do we need to change anything there? So in 2009 and 2010, they said, okay, let's review them, and after that, they decided to do some changes. So some changes related to adding new standards. They have 3 new standards. They changed about 15 standards. They deleted 2 standards, and after that, they changed some of the glossary terms. So in total, we have 26 changes. Now, these changes, if you are taking the CIA exam, is effective July 1st. So it was yesterday. So it's great that you are here, because now you are going to really know all the new standards that you need to follow when you are taking the CIA exam going forward. So let's go over these standards. What happened? What changes? Here's a summary of the changes. Number 1 is related to organizational independence. Number 2 is related to quality assessment, auditor opinions, audit responsibility, risk management, and some additional changes. So the way that I'm going to do it here, that I'm going to go over the standards. We have something called markup version. So I will show you the versions, show you the old standards, and show you the new standards, and explain what happened with them. So let's do it one by one. So the first one, organizational independence. They say, perfect. Currently the organization, when we are performing our internal audit, we need to have something, we need to change something related to purpose, authority, and responsibility, which is the nature of the chief audit executive's functional reporting relationship with the board. What we are saying now, that the chief audit executive, he should functionally report to the board all the issues related to the internal audit. So this is the first change. I will go over it just in a second. The other one is related to what? The emphasis on placing the chief audit executive's independence by recommending the functional reporting. So it's the same thing. It's the same concept. But let's go over the standard and see what they are saying. So it's the standard 1000. So in the standard 1000, what they are saying here? They are saying within the organization, including the nature of the chief audit executive's functional reporting relationship with the board. See, this is what they added. So this is the old standards, this is what they added. Just now in the CI exam, they are going to ask you, what about the functional, is there a functional reporting for the chief audit executive to the board? You say yes. See? Okay, let's go down to the next one. Okay, look, here they added quite a bit. So what they are saying here, organizational independence. Now we are saying organizational independence is effectively achieved when the chief audit executive reports functionally to the board. Example of functional reporting to the board involve the board. So here, look, what kind of functional reporting? Approving of internal audit charter. See? At the same time, approving of risk-based internal audit plan. Receiving communication from the chief audit executive on the internal audit activities performance relative to its plan and other matters. Approving decisions related to the appointment and removal of the chief audit executive, making appointment inquiries of the management and the chief audit executive to determine whether there are any appropriate scope or resource limitations. So see, these are all the new standards that they have. So when you are taking the CI exam again, they are going to try to test you on them. Why? Because they are new. And many of the internal auditors, they are not going to really take a look at them unless they know. So let's go back. Second one, quality assessments. So here what they are saying, we changed something related to external assessment, and we are saying we are going to change the requirement of the external assessment. Now we change something also related to conformance with the international standards for professional practices. And here, the emphasis, what we said, the external service provider to demonstrate to the management that the quality of the internal activity is maintained. So what happened? Why are we changing the quality assessment here? Do you remember what happened in the last years? Here what we are saying. Right now, many organizations, they don't want to really focus that much on internal audit. They want to do what their job. What they are doing, they are outsourcing the internal audit to other organizations. So think if you have a small business, you are not going to have internal audit department. You are going to say, okay, we have so many internal audit consulting firms, we are going to outsource it to them. So that way, I need to make sure that we have external assessment, that someone coming to your organization and making sure that this organization who is handling your internal audit is doing it correctly, right? They are following the standards of internal audit, number one. Number two, I need always to make sure that you understand as small business that it's not the responsibility of the internal audit or the internal auditor to come and make sure that you are following the standards. It's your responsibility of who? It's your responsibility to follow the standards. It's your responsibility to maintain the standards. The internal audit will just come to confirm that you are doing it or not. See? So if I'm running a business, I'm not going to say, okay, the internal audit, he will come and he will make sure that I'm doing everything fine. No. The internal audit will just come and confirm. You need to go and you need to be responsible for maintaining the internal controls. So let's go over these standards. So it's 1,312. 1,312. Okay, so look what I said here. See, they took the old one and they added something new. Okay, so in that way we need to know what happened, what they took, and what they added. When we look here, the first thing that we look at, we look at the qualified reviewer or review team demonstrate competence in two areas: professional practice of internal audit and the external assessment process. Here it's approximately the same, they didn't change that much. But after, competence can be demonstrated through a mixture of experience and theoretical learning. See, before they were looking at what? At experience and professional accreditations. So before they say, if you have the experience and you have the CIA, we say, okay, you are qualified to do it. Now they are saying, no. What we want you to do, you need to have the learning or the experience at the same time the concepts for you to be able to do the job. So this is the first change. Number two, experience gained in organization of similar size, complexity. This is approximately the same, they didn't change that much. But what they changed here, we are saying, in the case of review team, not all members of the team need to have all the competencies. See, this is another change. Before they say, all the members in the team, they should have all the skills and knowledge for them to perform the job. Here we are saying no. Because now if you think about it, when we are doing internal audit, maybe we have someone from IT, someone from, let's say, another like business analysis department. So that way, what they are saying, the whole team in general, they should have all the competencies for them to do the job, not each individual. So this is the second change. And after that, we are saying the chief audit executive uses professional judgment for them to assess if this team is sufficient and have all the competencies to be qualified to do this job. See? So they changed the old one to the new one. It's really important for you when you are looking at it.